I went on every blind date pretending to be broke, not to test women, but to protect my daughter and my broken heart. Most walked away the moment money disappeared. Then, one night, a waitress sat down at my table, and in less than 5 minutes, she changed everything I believed about love. I learned early that money can be loud. It talks before you do. It enters the room ahead of your heart. After my wife passed away, I became a single father overnight. Grief moved into my house like a permanent guest. My daughter slept in my arms every night, breathing softly, trusting me with her whole world. I worked endlessly. I built companies. I signed deals that made headlines. Yet every evening, I ate dinner alone at a silent table. When I finally tried dating again, something felt wrong. The smiles came too quickly. The questions always circled back to success, cars, vacations, houses. No one asked about my daughter. No one asked about my pain, so I made a decision that shocked even myself. I stopped dressing like a millionaire. I sold the luxury car. I wore worn shoes and plain jackets. On blind dates, I said I worked hourly jobs. I said life was tight. I watched reactions carefully. Some faces fell instantly. Some excuses appeared within minutes. Others stayed polite yet distant, as if I no longer mattered. Each rejection hurt, yet each one felt honest. One rainy evening, I arrived early at a small diner for another blind date. The smell of coffee hung thick in the air. Old booths creaked under tired bodies. My date never arrived. Minutes turned into silence. That was when she spoke to me. Her voice was calm and warm. She was the waitress. She asked if I wanted more coffee. Her eyes carried exhaustion and kindness at the same time. I nodded. She noticed my shaking hands. She asked if I was waiting for someone. I told her the truth. She sat down for a moment, even though she was busy. She told me she understood disappointment. She spoke about working double shifts. She spoke about caring for her younger brother alone. The rain hit the windows harder. The lights flickered briefly. Something inside me cracked open. I felt exposed without trying to impress. I told her about my daughter. I told her about losing my wife. My voice trembled, and I did not hide it. She listened without interrupting. No judgment. No pity. Only presence. Then something unexpected happened. The manager scolded her for sitting with a customer. Her face flushed with embarrassment. I felt a sharp discomfort in my chest. Not fear. Responsibility. I stood up. I defended her calmly. I paid my bill and left a tip larger than her daily wage. Outside, the rain soaked my clothes. I felt strangely alive. The next day, I returned to the diner. Not as a customer searching for love, as a man who felt respect. I asked her name. I asked her story. She never asked about money. Weeks passed. We shared walks. Simple meals. Quiet laughter. One evening, she finally asked why I lived so modestly. I told her everything. Every secret. Every reason. I waited for the shift. It never came. She stayed silent, then smiled gently. She said wealth never scared her. Only emptiness did. I introduced her to my daughter. They bonded instantly. I watched them paint together at the kitchen table. Tears blurred my vision. Later, I helped her enroll in college. Not as a savior, as a partner. We built a life rooted in honesty. Love became our greatest investment. And I learned the moral I now live by. True wealth reveals itself when you remove everything that shines. I thought I understood success before. I was wrong. Real success began the morning I woke up to the sound of my daughter laughing in the kitchen. Sunlight spilled across the floor. The smell of toast filled the air. She stood beside the woman who once served me coffee on a rainy night. They were both wearing aprons too big for them. Flour covered their hands. My heart tightened at the sight. Something fragile and powerful existed in that moment. I drove them to school and work that day in my old car. Traffic crawled. Horns blared. Yet peace sat beside me. At work, I signed contracts worth millions. My phone buzzed nonstop. Still, my thoughts stayed with a small diner and a woman with tired eyes and a brave soul. That evening, I returned home early. She sat on the floor helping my daughter with homework. Pencils rolled everywhere. Laughter echoed against the walls. I felt a sudden fear, not of losing money, of losing this. Days passed. I noticed how she gave without measuring. She cooked simple meals with care. She listened deeply. She taught my daughter empathy through small actions. One night, exhaustion hit her hard. She admitted fear. Fear of failing school. Fear of not being enough. I held her hands gently. I felt how much weight they carried. The room felt heavy with truth. A storm raged outside. Thunder shook the windows. Inside, vulnerabilities stood between us. I realized love demands courage, not wealth, not control, just honesty. The diner faced financial trouble weeks later. She worried constantly. Her coworkers depended on that place. I visited quietly. I saw broken equipment, worn furniture, hope barely holding together. My chest tightened again. I faced a choice that night, one that tested everything I believed. I sat alone in my car, rain streaking the windshield. The diner lights flickered behind me. My hands rested on the steering wheel. I felt the weight of every secret I still carried. My pulse quickened. I stepped out into the rain and walked back inside. Every step felt heavy. Every breath felt loud. All eyes turned toward me. The moment stretched longer than comfort allowed. I opened my mouth, and the truth waited on my tongue. The words pressed against my chest. They demanded space. I felt the room breathing with me. The hum of the old refrigerator grew louder. Plates clinked somewhere behind the counter. I looked at her. Her hands froze mid-motion. Her eyes searched my face, sensing the shift. I spoke slowly. I told them I believed in this place. I said it mattered. I said people mattered. No one moved. The manager frowned, confused. I reached into my jacket and placed a card on the counter. Not flashy, not dramatic, just quiet certainty. I said I wanted to help. Not own, not control. Support. The room filled with tension, suspicion mixed with hope. She stared at me now, stunned. Later that night, outside under the dim streetlight, she confronted me. Her voice shook. She asked why. Why them? Why now? Why always choosing the harder path? Cars passed behind us, spraying water onto the curb. I told her the truth that had taken years to learn. Pain teaches you where kindness lives. She looked away, overwhelmed. I feared I had broken something fragile. Silence stretched between us. The air felt cold and sharp. Then she stepped closer. She rested her forehead against my chest. Her breath slowed. Mine followed. In that moment, I understood trust grows slowly, like roots beneath the ground. Invisible, strong. Days turned into weeks. The diner stayed open. Repairs began quietly. No announcements, no credit taken. I returned to my routine. Boardrooms by day, homework and bedtime stories by night. Yet something inside me shifted permanently. I noticed small things now, the way my daughter listened more than she spoke, the way she hugged tighter, the way love reshaped our home. One afternoon, my daughter asked a question that stopped me cold. She asked why some people help without being asked. Her eyes waited patiently. I felt the weight of that question settle deep. I knelt beside her. I chose my words carefully, because answers shape lives, and this one mattered more than any deal I had ever signed. I told her that some people help because they remember how it feels to need help. Her small fingers tightened around mine. She nodded slowly, as if storing the lesson somewhere safe. That night, I lay awake longer than usual. The ceiling fan hummed softly. Memories surfaced without warning. Hospital hallways. Late phone calls. The moment my world split into before and after. I felt her presence beside me in those thoughts, not as a solution, as companionship. The next morning brought unexpected news. A meeting at work turned tense. Voices sharpened. Numbers flashed on screens. A decision needed to be made quickly. Pressure wrapped around the room. Old instincts pushed me to dominate the moment. To win. I paused. I felt my heartbeat slow deliberately. I chose patience over force. The room noticed. Silence replaced urgency. Respect followed restraint. Later that day, I visited the diner again. The bell above the door rang softly. Fresh paint covered the walls unevenly. Hope lingered in the smell of coffee. She smiled when she saw me. Not wide, not dramatic, just real. We spoke about small things. Weather, school schedules, recipes she wanted to try. Yet beneath it all, something deeper pulsed. Unspoken understanding. A shared direction. That evening, my daughter showed us a drawing. 3 figures holding hands. No mansion, no luxury cars, just smiles. My throat tightened. I felt the sudden pressure behind my eyes. I excused myself briefly. I stood alone by the window. City lights blurred into soft shapes. I realized healing arrives quietly, often unnoticed. Later, as dishes clinked in the sink, she told me about her fears again. This time deeper. This time heavier. Fear of depending on someone. Fear of losing herself. I listened without fixing, without promising outcomes, just presence. The room felt small yet safe. Outside, a siren passed and faded. Inside, trust continued to form. Slowly, carefully. Like something alive that needed space to breathe. The moment I knew the story had changed forever came on an ordinary evening. No celebration. No announcement. Just quiet understanding. My daughter fell asleep between us on the couch, her head heavy with trust. The room glowed softly under a single lamp. I listened to their breathing a lime. In that stillness, I felt something settle inside me. I was no longer performing strength. I was living it. I never revealed my wealth to the world, only to those who earned the truth through kindness. The diner grew stronger. She graduated. My daughter learned compassion by watching love in action, and I learned the most important lesson of my life. People show you who they are when nothing is promised. Love reveals itself when there is nothing to gain. True richness lives in patience, humility, and the courage to be seen without armor. Money can build comfort, but character builds a home. And the heart always knows the difference. Thank you for listening to this heartfelt story. If it moved you, share it, comment below, and let someone know. Asterisk, you are never alone.